Okay, here's Zuzu, and I'm going to show you how you have to check your bunny. They're shedding. This is shedding season, and I've been brushing them several times a week. But this is what developed within the past couple days. This wasn't here the last time I looked. Now look at this. This is a huge mat, and it's all wet because she's been in the water when she drinks and she's gotten it wet. And it's what it is a big dirty piece of hair that was loose hair. You stay there. Now to get out a mat, you've got to be really careful. Okay, the first thing I do is I put my fingers down at the bottom of it so that I'm not catching any of her skin. There goes that. Miss Zoos. And now we want to get out the rest of this. So what I'm going to do is just gently work it apart. And then again, feeling where the skin is. You have to be careful you don't accidentally cut off their whiskers. And if you're not comfortable with it, you maybe want to wrap them in a towel. You also make sure that the point of the scissors never is pointing so that they can jerk and suddenly impale themselves on the scissors. But a little bit at a time, and stay Zoos. And then we're going to give her a wash too here, because now we're down to her skin here. And the thing about that is, because this is wet, because every time she drinks some water, she's getting this dewlap of hers wet. And that can cause an infection. You stay, Zeus. I know. You got to have it done here. You got to get this off. Good girl. So I'm just going to work on this a little piece at a time. I'm keeping it so if it stabs anything, it's going to stab my fingers. And I'm going to work all this matting out. Oh, Zeus. Now, if your bunny's really upset about it, then you probably want to do it a little at a time and not all at once. And I'm going to take a look at this because now this just came up. Now, she didn't have this last week. Stay, Zeus. Just stay, my dear. Just stay. Here, let's get you. Let's get you here. Hang on. Let me see that. And I got to take my glasses off because I can't see a darn thing. So we got a lot of dirty fur, just from, yeah. And here's a big mat. Now this generally happens to bunnies with dewlaps, which is the skin flap that hangs under their throat. Just stay, sweetie. And make sure they don't twist their backs either. But if I get most of this off, then I can go ahead and wash it a little bit. But there's a little skin, and you can see I don't know if you can see that, but it's already a little red and irritated there. So I might put a tiny bit of A&D ointment, which is, now you don't want your bunny ingesting A&D ointment. That's the stuff they use for diaper rash. But you want to put it on after their skin is dry. Now she's all wet here because she's been drinking some water. Miss Zoos, I know I got to check you out. And they saw it, like, what's that hanging there? So make sure you check under your bunny's chin. If you have one of the rabbits that's a larger rabbit that has the dewlap. Okay, I got a lot of it out. And I'm sorry, Zeus, I didn't see that right away. I'm going to give you a little more. Let's get this piece out too. You're okay. But you want to make sure you're holding the skin. You got to feel, where does the skin start and where does the fur end, because it would be very easy with cats, anything, to snip their skin. It's okay, you gotta... And then where did it go? See, it's lost in this fur. Oh, for Pete's sakes, it's just disappeared again. These rabbits have such thick fur. Let me turn the camera off and see if I can find it here. Okay, what it looks like is that it's a little abscess here that, I don't know if you can see it. I keep losing it here. I find it and then I lose it again. Where the heck? Oh, there. Is that it? I'm thinking. Almost like a little abscess popped. And probably because of a mat. Her fur was a little matted there and I didn't notice it. Well, what I'm going to do is just wash it off with a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, just a little bit on a cotton ball. Okay, I got Zuz wrapped in a towel now to help her feel a little more at ease. But this is why it's very important. Learn to hold your rabbit upside down so you can take a look at their bottom of their feet, and you can take a look at under their chin too. There we go. Okay, what I'm going to do is find that spot again, and look at how it just gets lost here. Unless you feel around looking for it, it's really hard to find it. There's a little bit of it right there. And what I'm going to do is just give it a gentle little washing with a washcloth here. Yeah, what's going on with you, Zuz? Okay, this is a little water on a washcloth, a tiny bit of soap, very little. If you can see that. Okay, that wasn't there last week, and that's the thing. Things can happen fast. As you know, with your own body, things can happen quickly, and suddenly you got an infection. Now, it doesn't look like it's infected. It looks like the skin is just reddened, and it almost looks like maybe there was an abscess that popped. So I got a clean towel here, and I'm just going to dry this off. Got to blow on it a little bit. Let's make sure there's nothing else around here. Nothing else. You gotta stay, Zuz. Just stay, sweetie. Just stay. Okay, it appears to be just this one spot. And we're just gonna pat it dry here. And blow on it a little bit. Now, I'm going to put a tiny bit of hydrogen peroxide. Tiny bit of hydrogen peroxide on it. A little bit of hydrogen peroxide, Zuz. You're okay, you're okay. Just gonna put a little of that on there. Where'd you get that, huh? You're shedding and your fur is so thick. You got a little bit of you kind of cut it away there. There's a lot of bare skin. That's the only place I'm seeing that reddish skin. Check over here. You know, you realize if you don't have rabbits, you don't realize how thick their fur is. Like I said, I can kind of pull this. If you can pull it with your fingers far enough away from the skin, stay, Zuz, stay, just to give it a snip and get as much of that off. Now, okay, I'm blowing it now. I have a little rabbit antibiotic here. It's a triple action antibiotic. And I'm going to put a little of that on there. I was going to use Andy ointment, but I have some of this left, so I don't want to touch the tip. But Zeus, just stay, sweetie. You're almost done. You're almost done. I know, almost done. Where's that spot again? It's vanished. There it is. And I'm just going to put a little antibiotic on the skin there where it's reddened up. Okay. Now we got most of that wet fur off. And you know, your rabbits are going to get wet fur. They have this big dewlap, these larger breeds. Some smaller breeds have it too. If you have long-haired rabbits, you particularly have to be really careful because stuff can start under the skin, under the fur, I mean, on the skin. A lot of different things can start up infection-wise, and you're not even going to see it. Now that the air is going to be able to get to this, I think I want to trim just a little more fur off here that's near that spot. Just stay, Zeus. Just stay. Remember, never point the scissors where your rabbit can suddenly jam the scissors into their skin. So I've cut away a lot of that, and I've exposed the skin here where the mats were, and the rest of the skin looks okay. It just needs to dry out. That was the spot that was a bit reddened, and now I'm looking at it. I don't see a little like pothole, so maybe it was not an abscess. If it was an abscess, there'd be a little tiny pit in the skin where the abscess had busted, but it just seems like the skin is reddened. And I'm not feeling any lumps in the skin either. You can feel around on the skin, make sure there's no lumps, because a lump could mean another abscess is there. Poor zoos, what you got to put up with, hey? You know, the more you handle your rabbits, and especially get them used to being held upside down like this, the easier it's going to be for anything. But if you're afraid to do it, or you're afraid that you're going to snip their skin, then make an appointment with your vet and let the vet tech take care of it. So here we are. There's her skin. There's her reddened area. We got all the mats out. Miss Zeus, oh goodness. Let's turn you back over now. She says, what happened to me, huh? Oh, what happened? And let's show that. See, because here's it's dirty. It's all wet. And it's from the water getting on her fur. And it's also, it's just a big mat. And it's discolored because, you know, when she eats, she can't clean this off. So all the food residue that normally a rabbit would clean off of their fur, it's staying inside that mat and making it look really dirty. So here we have Zeus, and hopefully we caught that quickly before it turned into something bad. And I'm going to check, I guess, Norm and Stevie, too, because they're shedding like crazy, too, at this time of year. Well, I think Zuzu feels better. I took a look at Norm, and he had the tiniest bit starting under his chin, but it wasn't matted down to his fur. It was just the outsides of the fur, the tips that were getting welded together. And this is what happens when your bunny's shedding. Like for Norm, you know, you can pull out chunks sometimes gently of, they don't like that, but of fur. You can see on his rear end there clumps of it, and they can't. Hello, Norm. They can't get under their chins very easily to groom themselves. So you need to check bunnies under their chin, especially these bigger types that have that kind of a dewlap, that flap of skin there, that fold. Right, Norm? And I think Zeus is feeling a lot better now. You don't have that big thing under your chin. She said, that was terrible, Ma. Okay, here's about 18 hours later, and I just want to take a look at it. So Zuzu, you're gonna have to let me. And you can see the skin, it's all dried out. All the staining is gone. The skin is looking nicely pink. A nice light pink there, stay Zuz. But there is one spot, this was the spot that I thought had the abscess, right here. And that spot was more irritated. A little wound might have even been starting there. It's okay, Zuz. So I'm going to put this antibiotic on that spot again. It's okay, baby. Here. This is a rabbit antibiotic. This was a smaller mat right up against the skin. So I'm gonna treat that with some of this antibiotic. Get a little bit in there. And it's not an open wound, but it could have easily become an open wound if it was let go and not found. So when they're shedding and they get these clumps of fur that are coming out, that's when you can have problems. When the clump of fur gets wet and it gets matted up and then the bunny can't clean it. And you end up with it irritating the skin underneath because those mats just don't dry out. They don't dry out quickly, if at all. They keep dunking them back in the water when they take a drink or when they're eating greens. You know, the greens are touching that area. So keep an eye on your bun and check them under the chin really well, especially if they are the type of rabbit that has folds of skin there on their underneath their throat area.